Hey everyone, on this one I'm going to show you how to make a 3D bullet using the turn and spin tool in the modeling tab. So what I did was I went online and Googled imaged a bullet SVG file, like just something that I could get a screenshot of and then just trace it out. And I did that over here. It's traced out. It's very simple. What you're doing is you're trying to get half of it. So you could do the whole thing, but I wouldn't do that. You're just wasting your time. You only need half of it. And after you do that, so I was trying to make it look more realistic from this one because there's not like a lip here where the bullet gets pushed down into the casing, and there's no like serrations or ribs or whatever you want to call it that are on bullets that you can see that are sticking up past that a little bit. So with that, that was what this is going to be. I only went so far so I could show you how I was going to do that. And then I took this sketch here, or vector, and then I went to drawing tab and I offset it. And I did that by 0.01. And when I did that, it gave me this. So I'm going to turn this off. And then I also trimmed it down. So I trimmed it. Let's close out of this. I trimmed it with these vectors here to pull it in to give me a little bit of a lip. See there? Okay, from here you could go ahead and go to the modeling tab, select the vector, and I'm already on the 0, 0 there. So that vector down there touches here and here. And basically all it's going to do is spin it. So there's some things you need to know here. Okay, I want it to spin where it's going around like on a fourth axis on a lathe. It's just spinning. Or you can do the other one where it's going to take it, and if you were trying to make like a bowl shape or something like that, you could use the spinner on left and in point. And then the other option is you can scale it to an exact height. So it'll spin it completely round to whatever it is from here to here. It'll have that height all the way following this vector. If you click this on and you set an exact height, it'll push it down from its highest point. It'll be whatever you set here. And I can show you that. I always like this option just when I'm doing a separate component, because this would be more something for if you're trying to put it on a surface or whatnot and just stick it to it. But we're just creating this on its own. So we'll go ahead, we'll go to here in the 3D view and hit apply. So that looks pretty good. And then that's all you have to do. It gave us that lip and everything. That tool is very, very simple to use. So if we wanted to come back here and we could create the ribs in here that would actually, they come way past down in here because most bullets are shaped like this, and then they have a boat tail on the flat edge right here, and then they curve back around. They're not like the same shape at both ends. But we could go ahead and create this. So what you would do is you select all these to make it faster. And this isn't something that you have to do, but if you're just trying to get something to look extremely accurate, lifelike, it's just one of the added touches that you can do. Oop. Control Z that. So it's a bit too much, I think, for the distance. There we go. So we have those selected, and then click your scissors here, and we can make quick work of this. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to copy this stuff over to a new layer, because I don't want to mess with it, with what I have there. If I need to go back, I want to be able to have that. So I go back to the scissors, and if you just hold down the left mouse button, it'll automatically trim it when you go over the top of it. And the problem is here, we don't have a connection there, so you can click on it, hit N for nodes, and just drag it over to that point. And the same here. And the next thing you could do is you could just get rid of that. No need for it. Here you gotta click, because if you drag over it, you're gonna be deleting the vectors that you wanted to keep. So now we select them all. Oh, wrong one. Drawing tab. And then we want to go to join and join them all. And then we need to just do a check on the vectors. Make sure we don't have any overhang or nothing, the ones that aren't touching. Because it gets real frustrating if you're trying to do stuff in 3D or even in 2D and your vectors aren't touching or overlapping and it's not working, you're wondering what's going on. So we'll go here, we'll go to the shape, create shape, and we're going to want to go to this one. You could go either way. You could keep it here, and so what we're going to do is we're not going to want to have a base height, and we're going to really want to kick that down. So you could keep this here and it'll add to it. See that? See, that's even way too tall. So let's just go to there. I think that looks pretty decent. You know, another thing we could do, let's hit apply there. And let's go to the drawing, hold shift, and let's kick up our model resolution to maximum, just to get a better look at those. So this does slow down your processing time, but it gets you a better look. And then you can also, so if you don't hold shift when you do that, oh, I did there, but so let's go back to very high. Not hold shift this time, and it's not there. It's like a cheat code for a video game. So you have to hold shift when you click on that, and then it'll give you those extra couple of settings. And the other thing you can do, if once you run your tool, get ready to run your toolpaths, you can come over to toolpaths, preview simulation quality, and then you can come down here to maximum or whatever. But this takes, on bigger high detail jobs, takes a long time, so be prepared to wait. But it does show you with pretty dang good accuracy what your end result's going to be. So anyways, I did not want those to look like that. So you can just, I was going to tell you, you could leave it like that and go negative, and then it'll give you the look that I was wanting, where it was indented in like that. But you could also do this, which will invert it again if it was negative. But sometimes when you do that, it kind of throws a wrench in it. So you'd have to go negative again and hit close. But now when you close out of it and open back up, this is taken away, this is adding. So it's back where it needs to be. And if it was me, I'd probably double these up again. But to get up to the other side, it's going to be hard to, there we go. You could take them with the vectors or without. You know, and then I'll just do this the way it should be done. Or show you guys another trick. I did it in another video, but select all of those. Go to your mirror. And then hold shift. And then select that. And then opens this option up. Oh, it's moving it. That is not what we want. So we have it selected. And we'll flip it about the line. And then it puts it all the way around. If you guys can see that. So that looks pretty dang good. And you're not going to get down in here because it's only going to show you what the software thinks that the bit is really going to be able to hit. So if you go like throwing like a full 3D model in here, it'll completely distort it, especially if you're trying to use the rotary tool setting, or job setting I should say. But that looks pretty good. And then some other people I've seen, you know, they might want to throw text on here. And if you're gonna do that, you're gonna want to find your center line, which is this. That's why you set it up on it. So right there, you can see with the right next to the cursor there, it shows your X and Y. And we could have reused that other one that was already on there for your center line to line it up. But we'll just do this. So I'm just going to do so what you want to do is you're going to click on here to put it on that line. And then you're going to hold so it's too big, so it automatically shrink it down, but you're going to want to shrink it down yourself, otherwise it does some goofy stuff. Before you do this option. So there you have this highlighted, and then you click the line that you want it on. Then you have your options over here. Well, we're going to want it on the curve so it's in the middle. And then you could flip it to the other side like so, depending on how you want, which way you want the lettering to go. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag both of them down. To get them off of where this surface is starting to change. And we're going back to the modeling tab, create shape, and we're going to do take away here, which is called subtract from previous components. And then you could do a flat. You're not going to want a super deep depth. So that looks more than adequate. I'll hit apply. And you can click on that, highlight it, and then we'll smooth it out to get rid of those jagged edges. I see a lot of new guys. I did it myself when I was, and you want to click on preserve transparency when you're doing inverted, like when you're imprinting the text into something, you want that off because it is going to leave those jagged edges. See, that looks so much better. But this is the tool that a lot of the new guys need to get familiar with, because I'll see a lot of designs that look amazing, but then you start looking at their edges and they're all that jagged pixelated look. And you need to come in here and you can set it from, so what you're trying to do is get rid of this darker line right here, and then once that's gone, it's about perfect. So it's anywhere from about 15 to 20, 25%. See right there, it's pretty much gone. You might want to go a little bit more, and that's about perfect. And then there you go. That's a pretty good looking bullet design. And you can probably pull down the lettering here because it's still kind of close to this edge here for me. And you could easily do that while it's created. Oop. You could even do it in the 3D view. And the other thing you can do is you can click on it again, open it up, the properties, and you could set that height deeper if you wanted. For this design, that's a bit too deep for me. I'm usually setting my depths with either the 0.0625 or the 0.03125. And that seems to work pretty good for most anything that I'm doing. And then we can run it through the machining process here to see what it looks like. We'll skip the roughing and we'll go straight to the finish. I'm going to run it on a 16th tapered ball nose. I usually run Rip Precision tools, and then these are my settings. With my machine, I can go pretty fast. I wouldn't call that lightning speed, but you start getting too fast, and then you're getting diminished returns with the way your surface comes out, your surface finish, and you're gonna have a lot of sanding, and that's about as fast as I like to go. And then I like to use raster, and I like to go across grain, not with it. It just seems to turn out way better, and you don't get near the tear out or rip out or whatever you want to call it. And then we'll go to model boundary. Usually what I do is I throw, so we'll click off of that for a second. I go in here and then I'm in the modeling tab again, and I go to create vector boundary around selected component. So when I do that, it puts this vector around it as described. And this is the way I usually do it, because I'll have tabs. Like I'd probably have a tab, one here, and then one across, and then I might have one here. But we go back to the finish, and you can do the select vector, and then I usually do a 1/2 inch offset to give myself enough room to get down in there to cut them tabs off. And we'll just do it that way. And make sure I'm just double checking, calculate. And I'm gonna switch, well, I'll leave it on that really high tool path setting just to give you a better look of how this is gonna look once it's machined. I'll use the lower quality like when I'm, doing the job and whatnot, just to get the tool a general look how it's gonna do, but then I'll run the real high settings on when I'm pretty much done. And then we'll go to the preview tool paths. Just hit reset. I don't need that blue stuff on, and then preview all tool paths. Well, there's only one. So sometimes you have to exaggerate features, because see how it didn't really show up. And also you could use a smaller bit. So you might want to exaggerate this feature, make it deeper or make it wider in each of these so that the bit can fit down in there and get more depth and definition in there. So you could also use a smaller bit. So we can go to a 1/32. Again, Rip. That's the nice thing about Rip. They have their own tool database that you can import into Aspire. Go to raster again. All same. Still highlighted that vector. We'll calculate it. So this is going to take a lot longer to process compared to that 1/16 because it's doing so many more lines across. That's why it takes so much longer. I mean, you're basically doubling, or you are doubling the amount of lines that it has to calculate. So even now, you know, you're still barely seeing those ribs. I would definitely go in there and exaggerate them more. Maybe double the width and double the depth. See, it's showing up more here. You're getting a little bit of it here, but that's some things that you just have to do with models. If you're really wanting those features to show up, you have to exaggerate them. It's just the way it works. But the other thing you could do, it doesn't work when there's tabs there because the material's touching each other, but you can double click on the outside material that's left over, and then you can get some pretty good preview shots. You take screenshots or whatnot over here. You could here, save preview image. You could click that, and then it'll save it to wherever, what file location that you're going to set it to. But it looks pretty good, I think. Looks pretty realistic. Like I said, exaggerate some of that stuff, and like you can use this for any kind of feature that's, you know, symmetrical or whatnot on each side, and it's round. And but that's it now for the 3D bullet. So thanks for watching.